So we're here at the Red Pill Expo with the one and only KrisAnne Hall. KrisAnne, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for being here.
So tell us a little bit about what you just explained in your speech. That was awesome, by the way. Please give us a little recap.
Thank you. Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center has seen fit to identify me as an anti-government extremist hate group. And so I just simply explained that we have an essential duty to exercise our rights, regardless of the name calling and regardless of the consequences that may come. And although I'm not an anti-government hater, right? I don't hate government. I teach the Constitution that created government. There are things that I hate today, and those are all the examples that I gave during the speech about how people in power are desecrating and destroying the rights of the people.
Awesome. And so you talked some about the Constitution. What is the relevance of the Constitution today, and how can we use it to restore our freedoms?
Well, first, Samuel Adams said this: "No people will tamely surrender their liberties nor be easily subdued when knowledge is diffused and virtue is preserved." He said, "But on the contrary, when the people become universally ignorant and debauched in their manners, they will sink underneath their own weight without the aid of foreign invaders." And so what we need to do is get educated. We need to break free of that bondage that we've been placed in, thinking that the Constitution is too complicated for us to understand, that you have to be a lawyer or a judge, or you have to spend decades studying that. And it's simply not true. We put together Liberty First University at libertyfirstuniversity.com, which is the Constitution as if the founders themselves had been teaching it, so that every person can understand how the Constitution is supposed to work, what their government is permitted to do and not permitted to do, and the duty of the American people as individuals to keep their government in that constrained box.
So you used to be a prosecutor. What was your experience as a prosecutor, and did that play any role in bringing you to what you're doing today?
Well, my transformation took place during that process. To be honest, and most people may not know this, we don't teach the Constitution in law schools. As a matter of fact, the Constitution's not even a document that you read in law school in its entirety. And usually the only class you'll have on the Constitution is a constitutional law class, which doesn't teach the Constitution. It teaches that judges and lawyers know more about the Constitution than the men who wrote it, and teaches then how to circumvent the Constitution to win your argument. And so as I started learning on my own time about those who wrote the Constitution, I started reading what they wrote. I got angry because I realized that what we were learning was a lie, that it had absolutely nothing to do with the Constitution, and they were teaching us to destroy the Constitution. And so law school, if anything, placed that rebel spark in my heart to know more and to not be lied to anymore.
Okay, and so what would you think are maybe the first and maybe the second most serious threats to our Constitution, and how do we resist those? I mean, you mentioned education, and what else can we do?
Educating ourselves and educating others. I mean, that's the big thing. So the two biggest threats to our constitutional republic is the Marxist training camps that we call schools, right? That teach our children that the Constitution is irrelevant because we live in a technologically advanced era, that teach our children that we are intellectually superior because of those technological advances, and that the Constitution itself was a document meant to oppress women. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg said this, that it was a document written to keep women out of politics. And there's so many people out there that say that the Constitution was written to enforce and prolong slavery, which all of those things are flat out lies, but they are lies that are given on purpose to undermine the Constitution. So that's why that's a big threat. The second big threat is something that I'm sure everybody has heard from their politician or a lawyer or somebody out there who thinks they know about the Constitution. When you try to teach about the power of the people, the power of the states and the local governments, inevitably somebody will look at you and say, well, that sounds good, but the Constitution says that the federal laws are superior to state Constitution and state law. It says so right there in the Supremacy Clause. Only that's not what the Supremacy Clause says. The Supremacy Clause says the exact opposite. So the Supremacy Clause doesn't make the federal government supreme. The Supremacy Clause makes the Constitution supreme and the federal government underneath it. The Supremacy Clause actually says that if laws created by Congress are not made in pursuant to the Constitution, then the judges of the states are not bound by them. Now, I read that text. It's simple. It's right there in writing. So what happens, how is it that so many people who profess to be educated, I mean, even lawyers and judges, simply do not know how to read?
Wow, crazy stuff. So where can people find more about you? You mentioned Liberty First University, so tell us again how to get there. I know you have an amazing radio show. Tell us how to get there, and tell people, last final thoughts.
Okay, well, the radio show is broadcast every Saturday, and you can find it at KrisAnneHall.com. You can look at our affiliates list. There may be a terrestrial station that carries it near you, and we have a mobile app on KrisAnneHall.com that you can download, so you can get all the podcasts there. We're exciting. We just got our numbers. We're heard by over around 2 million people every week. So it's just very, very exciting to us to know that. And Liberty First University is libertyfirstuniversity.com. It is online constitutional training, like I said, as if the founders themselves were teaching it. And it's geared at such a level that if you're 6 years old, you can get it. 6 to 106, and that's what we say. And I just simply, I hope to equip people with this knowledge, right, and educate them. But I really hope that the knowledge itself will inspire them, because we need to get beyond the days of being keyboard warriors and people who get angry at the television and do nothing. We have to be doers of the word, not just hearers of the word. And it's not just enough to mass knowledge. You've got to get out there and help other people come to the truth as well.